It started with a whisper. A voice note, only 30 seconds long, that somehow found its way into the hands of a journalist in Milan. No one knew who leaked it, but one thing was certain, the voice on that recording belonged to Sara Bluma. At first, no one believed it. Sara had been silent for months. Ever since the scandal surrounding her brief connection to Yaman, she had vanished from social media, turned down interviews, and avoided the press completely. But when the audio clip surfaced, her silence ended, and it ended in fire. The recording began innocently enough. A quiet room, the faint clink of a glass, and Sara's voice, calm, but trembling with emotion. "They think they know everything," she said. But they only saw what they were supposed to see. The real story started long before that night. No context. No explanation. Just those haunting words. Within hours, the clip went viral. #SaraBluma trended across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Millions replayed the same 30 seconds, analyzing every pause, every breath, every echo in her tone. What did she mean? Who was they? And what exactly happened that night? Italian media exploded first. Then Turkish outlets picked up the story, followed by fan pages from Spain, France, and the Middle East. Everywhere, the same question burned: was Sara talking about Yaman and Demet Özdemir? Because in the days leading up to that recording, something strange had happened. A series of subtle hints that suddenly made sense in hindsight. Sara had been seen leaving a restaurant in Rome where Can had dined earlier the same evening. She had liked an old photo of Demet and Can from their Erkenci Kız days, only to delete it minutes later. And one of her closest friends had posted an Instagram story that said, cryptically, "Truth always finds its way to the surface." The leaked audio was the spark. But the story behind it, that was the explosion waiting to happen. By midnight, every entertainment outlet was calling it the scandal of the year. Talk shows were dissecting her words, experts were reading between the lines, and fans were forming theories that bordered on obsession. One theory claimed Sara had been secretly in contact with Can, long after their supposed split. Another said she had proof that Demet was still involved, emotionally, if not directly. And then there was the third, the one that everyone wanted to believe, but no one dared to say out loud, that Sara knew something about the night in Rome, the one that had reignited the entire story of Can and Demet. The morning after the leak, a journalist from an Italian gossip channel received a message from an unknown number. It read simply, "That recording? It's not the full version." The journalist froze. Because if that was true, then the 30-second clip that shook the world was just the beginning. And what came next, the full version of that audio, would reveal secrets that could destroy everything Yaman and Demet Özdemir had rebuilt. By the time the sun rose over Milan, the gossip world was on fire. Newsrooms scrambled for confirmation, journalists called every contact they had, and within hours, a second audio file appeared online. It was the full version. This one wasn't 30 seconds. It was almost 4 minutes long. And it was brutal. The clip began with Sara's voice, lower, colder this time. There was no hesitation now, she sounded angry, tired, maybe even betrayed. "They always talk about their story," she said. "Can and Demet, the perfect couple, the untouchable fairy tale. But no one ever asks what happened when the camera stopped." There was a pause, a clink of ice in a glass. Then, she continued. "I saw it. I lived it. He told me she was the past, that it was over. But you can't compete with a ghost that never dies." The words echoed like a confession wrapped in jealousy. Listeners couldn't tell if she was speaking from heartbreak or anger, maybe both. And then came the part that froze everyone who heard it. "That night in Rome, he wasn't supposed to see her. He told me he was done. But he went anyway." The room in the recording fell silent for a few seconds, only the faint sound of her breathing could be heard. Then Sara's voice broke. "I think he still loves her," she whispered. "And maybe he always will." By noon, that single line had been translated into 12 languages. #HeStill Loves Her trended across Twitter. Fan accounts of Can and Demet came back to life, flooding timelines with old photos, quotes, and video montages. Meanwhile, Yaman was in the middle of a meeting in Rome when his phone started lighting up like a fire alarm. His assistant rushed in, pale-faced, holding a tablet. "You need to see this," she said. He pressed play. The voice was unmistakable, Sara. He listened silently, jaw tightening with every word. When the recording reached the "he still loves her" part, he stopped it. He didn't move for a long time. Finally, he said quietly, "Don't make a statement." His assistant looked confused. "Can, they're attacking you online." "They're calling it," I said. "Don't," he interrupted firmly. "Not yet." He got up, walked to the window, and stared at the city below. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear church bells, calm, indifferent, timeless. He whispered to himself, "This is exactly what she wanted." But he wasn't sure if he meant Sara, or fate itself. In Istanbul, Demet had just finished filming a scene when her phone started vibrating nonstop. Her stylist whispered nervously, "Demet, have you seen what's happening?" She hadn't. Until she did. Someone sent her the full recording, subtitled, spreading like wildfire through social media. She watched it once, her expression blank. Twice, her lips trembling. When the video ended, she whispered, "So this is how the past comes back." Her manager stormed in. "Demet, we have to respond. The press is asking if it's true." "What truth?" she said softly. "The one I lived, or the one they're inventing?" No one had an answer. And as the world dissected Sara's every word, both Can and Demet stayed silent, for now. But silence, as history had proven, only makes the noise grow louder. The world was watching, and every second of silence from Yaman only made it worse. Every network wanted a reaction, a headline, a single quote, a denial, but he gave them nothing. He didn't post. He didn't appear. He didn't even leave his house. Inside his apartment in Rome, the walls felt heavier than ever. He sat in the dark, scrolling through an endless stream of news reports. Every outlet had its own version of the truth. Some said Sara was lying for attention. Others said she had proof, recordings, photos, even messages. Then came the worst headline of them all, Yaman's secret love triangle exposed. Sara speaks, Demet cries. He slammed the phone onto the couch, leaned back, and rubbed his eyes. "This isn't about truth anymore," he whispered to himself. "It's about noise." But deep down, even he knew, Sara's words had cut too deep to ignore. Because part of what she said wasn't entirely false. That night in Rome, the night the world kept talking about, had happened. And yes, he had gone there knowing Demet would be there. He had told himself it was coincidence, that it didn't mean anything. But now, in the echo of Sara's voice, he couldn't deny it anymore. He had never stopped thinking about her. Meanwhile, Sara Bluma was cornered. Reporters followed her everywhere, restaurants, the gym, even her apartment. Every day, new clips surfaced. In one of them, a journalist shouted from across the street, "Sara, did you really mean what you said about Can still loving Demet?" She froze. For a moment, she almost smiled, the kind of smile that hides 100 emotions. "You heard what I said," she answered, before stepping into her car. The clip went viral again. But this time, people weren't sure whether to hate her or pity her. Her voice, once confident, now sounded tired, broken, even. Back in Istanbul, Demet was trying to hold herself together. She had stayed silent long enough. But her silence was being twisted, turned into another story. Demet Özdemir refuses to deny affair. Her silence speaks volumes. Demet still in love with Can? It was too much. So one night, she opened Instagram and recorded a story, no makeup, no script, just her, sitting on her balcony. Her eyes were tired, but her voice was calm. "People forget that behind every rumor, there are real hearts," she began. "I've always believed that truth doesn't need to shout. It survives quietly, even when everyone else is screaming." She took a breath, glancing away for a second. If what they're saying is supposed to hurt me, it doesn't. Because the truth is, there are things that only two people in this world will ever understand. And I'm okay with that. No names. No accusations. Just silence, and truth between the lines. The clip spread like wildfire. Fans flooded her comments with support, she handled it with grace. Demet doesn't need to prove anything. This is why Kim will never forget her. And in Rome, as Kim watched the video for the first time, his expression softened. He paused the screen on her face, her eyes glistening in the dim light. For a moment, the noise outside didn't matter anymore. He whispered under his breath, "That's the woman I fell in love with." He reached for his phone, opened her chat, and hesitated. Typing. Deleting. Typing again. Finally, he sent a single message, "Don't let them change who you are." No answer came that night. But the next morning, he woke to a notification. Just 3 words. They never will. The chaos didn't slow down, it evolved. What started as one leaked audio had turned into a full-blown international media storm. 3 weeks later, Sara Bluma was still trending daily. Every talk show wanted her. Every gossip magazine offered her money for an exclusive interview. And though she had been quiet since the first leak, rumors began to swirl again. She's preparing a second audio. There's proof this time. It's worse than anyone imagined. Paparazzi followed her day and night. Her face was on the cover of every Italian and Turkish magazine, eyes red from crying, captions screaming, "Sara breaks down, I never meant for this to go public." But no one believed her anymore. Behind the scenes, Sara's inner circle was falling apart. Her best friend unfollowed her. Her agent quit. And her family had stopped taking calls. Because the truth was, the scandal that made her famous had also destroyed her. Late one night, she met with a journalist from La Verita, hoping to explain her side. They met at a small cafe near Piazza Navona, quiet, dimly lit, far from the crowds. The journalist, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes, pressed record and asked softly, "Sara, did you lie?" For the first time, Sara didn't answer right away. She looked down at her coffee cup, her fingers trembling. When she finally spoke, her voice was fragile. "No," she said slowly. "But I didn't tell the whole truth either." The journalist leaned closer. "So what really happened?" Sara sighed, her eyes glistening. "Can and we were close, yes. But not the way people think. He wasn't mine, not really. He tried, I tried, but he was always somewhere else. Someone else was always in his heart." Demet? Sara didn't answer. She didn't need to. "You see," she continued, "I thought I could handle being the woman after her. But I couldn't. No one could. She's not just a memory, she's a shadow that never leaves him." Her confession hit the gossip world like an earthquake. For the first time, people began to feel sorry for her. They stopped seeing her as the villain, and started seeing her as a woman who had been caught in someone else's unfinished love story. Meanwhile, in Rome, Yaman sat alone on his balcony, watching the news replay the interview. Sara's face appeared on the screen, her words subtitled in bold white letters, "He was never mine. His heart belonged to someone else." He turned off the TV, exhaled deeply, and closed his eyes. For the first time in weeks, he felt something like peace. Across the sea, in Istanbul, Demet saw the same interview. She didn't speak. She didn't text him. She just closed her laptop and whispered to herself, "So it's finally over." But even as she said it, her heart disagreed. Because endings never came easy for them, and maybe, this wasn't one. The storm finally began to fade. The media moved on, new scandals replaced the old ones, and for the first time in months, silence returned to both Rome and Istanbul. But for Yaman, that silence didn't feel like peace, it felt like unfinished business. He had watched Sara's confession, listened to every word, and while it cleared his name, it didn't clear his heart. Because deep down, there was still one person he hadn't spoken to. The one name that always echoed in his mind when the lights went out, Demet. He tried to bury himself in work again, new projects, new scripts, endless meetings. But every city he traveled to, every hotel room he stayed in, every quiet night he spent alone reminded him of her. So one morning, without telling anyone, he booked a flight. Destination, Istanbul. It had been years since he'd walked those streets, yet everything felt painfully familiar. The smell of roasted chestnuts, the sound of ferries, the laughter echoing through narrow alleys, it all brought back pieces of a life he had tried so hard to forget. He wore a cap and dark glasses, hoping not to be recognized, and headed to the one place where he thought he might find her, the same cafe where they had met for the first time during the filming of their old series. The cafe was quieter now, renovated, brighter. But when he looked toward the corner table by the window, his heart stopped. She was there. Demet. No cameras. No makeup. Just her. A book in her hands, a cup of tea beside her, the same way she used to sit during breaks, when she thought no one was watching. He froze at the entrance, unsure if he should move. But as if sensing him, she looked up. Their eyes met, and in that instant, everything around them disappeared. No headlines. No leaks. No past. Just them. She didn't smile at first. Her expression was cautious, unreadable. But then, slowly, her lips curved into a small, genuine smile, the one he had memorized years ago. He took a step forward. "You came back," she said softly. "I never really left," he replied. They both laughed quietly. The kind of laugh that comes after too many tears. They talked for hours. About the chaos, the noise, the pain, the misunderstanding. About Sara, about Rome, about everything and nothing at once. "Do you regret it?" she asked finally. "No," he said. "I regret not fighting harder." There was silence. The kind that used to frighten them. But this time it felt safe. Demet looked out the window, where the rain had begun to fall again, soft and steady, like every story that finds its ending. "So what happens now, Can?" she asked. He reached across the table, his hand finding hers. "We stop running from what never ended." Outside, the city kept moving, cars, people, life. But inside that little cafe, time stood still. Two souls, tired of headlines and heartbreak, had finally found their way back to where it all began. A few days later, a passerby snapped a photo from outside, two figures sitting by a foggy window, hands intertwined, smiles soft but real. No filters, no flashes, no chaos. Just love, quiet, unspoken, undeniable. The photo went viral in hours. But this time, there was no scandal. Only warmth. Only truth. And the caption written by the fan who posted it said it all. After all the noise, they found silence, and in that silence, they found each other.